So here's the front door to the property. I'm under the carport at the moment, so you can drive straight in and straight into your front door. So not a bad setup, but the carport's probably getting a little bit old. We can see this house is made out of a few different materials. So we've got the weatherboard here, which makes up the majority of the house. It goes around, whereas a bit more of a feature around this front door. And I'll just swing the camera around to the side, and you can see from here there's also some brick. I've just moved past the gates through the carport into the backyard. As you can see, there's grass everywhere, very overgrown, and that garage, I don't think there's been a car in there for years. There's no way you could even get to it. But like I said, there's probably not a lot of work to do if you were to buy this house to renovate it up. You could just simply extend this driveway or just give it a mow and make that garage functional again. As I scan up to the roof though, I can see the roof is actually quite recent. So I'd say that it had leaking problems, and they were forced into doing a bit of a fix up on the roof, putting in new guttering, just to keep the house functional, I guess, without leaks coming through every second day. Again, here's the garage. You could paint this up fairly easily and make it into a nice little garage and a workshop at the back. As you can see, possibly from this angle, the roof though is definitely asbestos, so they might want to look into getting that removed and fixed up so it's a lot safer. Having said that, there are ways around it, and as long as you're very careful with the asbestos issue, it may not be a problem, but definitely seek advice on those sort of issues. Unfortunately, I might have missed my opportunity to go through this house with a camera on the inside, because tomorrow, an auction day, I anticipate that there's going to be a lot of people here. With the price at $290,000 plus, a lot of people are going to take the bait and be interested. It goes to show though, I still have an opportunity to do a quick overview of the house, see what I think from the outside and whether or not it's even worth looking on the inside. This thing right here, to most people look like a water service, but to me it could be a hidden cost of your first home. If this is more than 10 years old, it's got potential to blow up at any time, meaning that you could have an extra $1,000 or $2,000 of expense straight away. What you can do though to safeguard yourself is to have a look at the information and see when the hot water service was last installed. So having a look at this one, I can see that it was installed in December 2002. So at this stage it's a bit over 4 years old. So it's not a big worry for me at this stage of its life cycle. Another absolutely vital thing to do from the outside of a house is have a look under the house and see what's there. So what I've done here is that I've found access to the underneath of the house. I'm able to have a sticky beak underneath to see exactly what the stumps are made out of. If they're made out of concrete, there's a big chance that they've been redone over the years and they're pretty safe. Whereas if it's made out of timber of some kind, that's when we can have problems. They can rot away, and we can really have a costly expense. Restumping a house, depending on the size, can cost $10,000 or more. And another hidden cost can also be the wiring, which is something else I can look at while I stick my head under here and have a look. The wiring, electricals under a house or through the cavities, is another area that can really add up, and you can't see the benefit of where your money's been spent. So here I am back at Esdale Street. We'll notice there's a big fat sold sticker here. It actually sold for $401,000. I was unable to make the auction due to other commitments, but that doesn't stop me from getting the paper and see what it sold for and taking some learnings from that as well. I'm guessing that there was a lot of disappointed first home buyers that came with the 290 plus figure in their head, and it went for $110,000 more than they expected. The reason for that is that obviously a developer's bought this house. I've done some quick figures by going on the internet to see what land around here is actually worth. And I've got a good comparison here in Mitcham, which is just one suburb across. There's a block of land there for about $340,000 on a 620 allotment, and this is 723. So if I did the maths and divided it out, it works out to be about $548 per square metre, and this property sold for just a touch over that, about $350. So it's pretty comparable in that sense. Another thing that's quite interesting about the $401,000 price tag is the fact that to get to that level, someone else would have had to bid $400,000. If, for example, in this case, there wasn't that second bidder to push up the price, the developer might have only paid $351, for example, if the next highest bidder was $350. So it really depends. For an auction to be successful for an agent, they really need two bidders to be going at it to really push the price up to the highest. It's also interesting the fact that the price was $401, meaning that one person would have probably dropped out at 400, which is often a psychological figure, having the zeros at the end. Some other numbers that are quite interesting is that for a first home buyer that came in, they probably would have got an approved loan on their salary of $40,000 to make this affordable. But because it went so high, their salary would have had to be $7,000 or $8,000 more just to afford to move in over 25 years. Like I said at the start, my intention with this house was just to get a bit of experience and show you guys that you have to start somewhere, and for us this was it. For this case study, this was the first house we looked at, so we'll go forward from here and see what we can come up with. Now, to get that information on that property really wasn't all that difficult. All I did was go to an open inspection for about half an hour or so, attended the auction, looked up the internet and recorded some prices from the paper. So all in all, it might have been an hour and a half of my time just to have a really good reference point. You can do this for a whole lot of houses, and with very little work you can suddenly become an area specialist, especially from the comfort of your own home.